Hey, welcome back. This is week 3 of 8 from conceptcore's summer camp. If you don't know, every week for the next 8 weeks, the conceptcore Discord is doing a challenge where every week there's a different theme, different homework, different thing to study, different thing to improve on. And for week 3, we're doing master studies. And I got humbled pretty quickly. So, yeah. Anyways, that's the intro. Let's get into the topic. So for day 1, I did The Calling of St. Matthew from Caravaggio. This was one of the paintings that was listed on the conceptcore website, so I thought I'd just start with that one. And to be honest, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was certainly looking at the image quite a bit and writing down notes, but nothing was really sticking, or at least I didn't know if I was really learning anything. Like, I obviously noticed things about the composition and the lighting and even colors, but I didn't know if I was necessarily learning. But yeah, so I tried to just recreate it, to be honest, and not fully recreate it. The idea of these master studies would just be done in 1 to 2 hours. You weren't expected to recreate the whole painting, but just to study a specific aspect about them. Maybe even zoom in or just only study one particular aspect. And my main takeaway from this painting is that Caravaggio obviously uses light and darkness extremely well, as it shows. The light is the main subject, but also how he views the light. It feels like every painting is a really dark room, and that's the foundation. He puts his props and his people in that dark room, but then he reveals what he wants to reveal with obviously a very strong light, and then he obviously hides whatever he doesn't need for his composition. And that's how these paintings look so engaging and so dramatic. I think I saw a comment where someone said, light is the subject matter, not these actual characters or the people that are being painted. And it's the form, it's these people that are revealing the form of the lights. And I thought that was very interesting. Caravaggio, his stuff is really interesting, and it's good. All right, so for day 2, I did the Water Lily Pond number 6 by Claude Monet. I think after looking at his stuff, I think Monet is probably one of my favorite artists from history. I watched a video on his Water Lily series, one of his final paintings, and the more I read about him and the more I just look at his stuff, the more I think, okay, his stuff is one of my favorites. So that's why I thought I just had to study him. And he has so many iconic paintings. Like, I remember looking at his stuff in art class, and now thinking back on it, I'm like, oh, these were all made by the same guy. Like that sunset one and like these water lily ones, right? He was the king of Impressionism, or at least I assume he started it and he made it very popular. So I wanted to study one of his paintings. Again, I just love his Water Lily series, so I just did a random one, and that's it. But he has genuinely so many paintings under his belt. It's ridiculous, and all of them look amazing, to be honest. Every painting captures mood and atmosphere so well. Like, I could feel like I was there when I'm looking at his paintings. And what's insane is how incredible like the colors and everything look, despite how back in the day they had very limited color palettes by literal supply, but also by probably price as well, and many other factors compared to literally the unlimited that we have today. And also his paintings, while yes, they are impressionist, so there's a lot of just making big dots, it's a lot more gestural than I thought while looking at his paintings. Like there's a lot of flow and curves in his paintings that he physically paints in with his hands. Like, there's a lot of small dots, sure, but they all kind of converge into this one big wave or curve. This painting was really fun to do. I just did it with a round brush just to challenge myself. And I think it turned out all right. So yeah, that was day 2. Day 3 was A Fish Sail on a Cornish Beach by Stanhope Forbes. I first saw this in James Gurney's Color and Light book, and for some reason I just really liked it. I think the subject matter and the atmosphere in it is so fun. Like, it really is just a bunch of dudes on a beach selling fish, and somehow this painting captures the atmosphere and the texture and the grit and like the wetness of the beach and I'm assuming fish and stuff so well. And while I was studying it, it blew my mind that I essentially was just using only 2 colors. And again, this will be a theme throughout the whole video, but these painters back then, while sure they had limited color palettes, they also were extremely focused as well. In this painting, they essentially did just use 2 colors, blue and orange, and then everything in between is that, like most of it is brown, orange, but then certain spots are a very grayish blue, and that's what contrasts, again, the orange, right? And this was very intentional, and it blew my mind at the end where I was like, oh, I essentially only used 2 colors. Because for all these paintings, I'm not using the eyedropper at all. I'm trying to color match and eyeball it myself and find it on the color wheel, try to get as close as possible. And at the end I was like, oh, essentially just 2 colors. And also how he uses texture to build out this painting and to make you feel the sliminess of the fish and like the ground and the sand. It's incredible, to be honest. I love this painting, and that's it. So for day 4, I did Midday Near Moscow by Ivan Shishkin. I think I probably pronounced that incorrectly. And I'm not gonna lie, I really struggled to match the texture and the brushwork and the colors. For some reason, the colors just weren't the same in the photo. Now, granted, a lot of these photos, when you search them up, not photos, but a lot of these paintings, when you search them up online, there will be different versions of them for some reason. I imagine, they probably took photos of them or maybe scanned them, but there is never like a definitive version with some paintings. There's like some that are slightly different from others. I'm not really sure why. Anyways, the one I chose, I couldn't match it for some reason. I was really struggling with it, and also my paint or my brushwork was also just not matching it as well. There's like an incredible blend and softness to the whole thing, and then it gets really sharp at the bottom with the grass and like the field with the people in it. But I was most of the time I was just trying to match the colors, and for some reason it just didn't stick. Now, when I look back at it, it's not that bad anymore. But at the time, I was just like, how am I not getting any of these colors? I don't really understand why. And I took a step back, and then I really reflected on why I'm struggling, and it's probably due to a few factors. And it's one, we have to keep in mind that a lot of these paintings were done on really big canvases, or at the very least, something a lot bigger than these small digital screens that we have. And 2, they weren't digital, right? They were physical canvases that you could see all the details on, and you could easily blend, because often in digital art, we're often told to zoom out to look at the bigger picture, but when you do zoom out, the image on your screen literally becomes a few inches tall and wide, So that special blend or mix or whatever, the transition from color, it's a lot harder to do when, again, it's on a really small digital screen. But when it's on a big canvas, I imagine it's a lot easier. That was my big takeaway. And again, looking back at it, it's not as bad as I thought, but the brushwork definitely could have been a lot better. I was just focused a lot on the clouds, trying to match it. And it didn't work out. So then the bottom stuff, it suffered as well. All right, so for day 5, I did The Milkmaid by Vermeer. Vermeer has a lot of paintings, and I'm sure you've seen a few of his most iconic ones. But this one just seemed a lot of fun, and I saw it in a YouTube video, and I watched a video about it, so that's why I chose it. And at first, I started with the usual composition and then grayscale value study. I didn't mention this yet, but before all these paintings, in the homework, we're all encouraged to do a small grayscale recreation of the composition in the painting in like the corner or something. So that's what I did as usual. And then I moved to coloring and painting the artwork itself. And I got really frustrated with this one. I thought, why is it not matching? Why are my colors not like his? And I got a really big reality check with this one. And all the bad habits that I was building up until now, they all collided at once in this one painting, which is why it looks the absolute worst out of all these master studies I've done. And it's because, one, it's actually very disrespectful of me to think that I could even get close to one of these master paintings in an hour. You know, to think that I could reduce someone's work that they spend months working on, planning, getting the paint to do, and to think I could all match it all in 1 hour. I felt very disrespectful, to be honest, at that moment. That was my reality check. And I thought, wow, who do I think I am, you know? I had to keep in mind that, again, yeah, these paintings took a long time, a lot of prep work. So obviously it's not going to match in an hour. And my process for even studying these was incorrect as well. See, with this one, there's a variety of colors. While yes, it is very focused as usual, this painting has a wide range. While again, older paintings maybe had like 2 hues, this one had a bunch. There's green, red, blues, oranges, yellows, whatever, right? There's a variety, and he makes them all feel cohesive. But when you're just trying to pluck colors from the color wheel from random, of course, everything looks like a rainbow mess. And that's what was happening to me. And yeah, so then I took a break. I came back in the evening, kept doing the same bad habits, and I got impatient, so I just ended up with a very crude, quote-unquote, value study. And I didn't finish it because I'm a coward. So then for day 6, for the final day, I wish I watched this video on day 1, but at least I watched it. And it's from Daniel McGarry, where he makes a video on how to do master studies. And again, I wish I watched this on day 1, but you know, better late than never, I guess. And essentially the main point of his video, which you should still watch, is that you shouldn't try to study everything at once. When you're doing a master study, which he also says you should do on a regular basis, and not just on traditional paintings, but on literally anything to study something and become a master at it. But the main point of his video is that when you're studying something, don't try to do everything all at once. Pick one specific focus, like composition, value, color, or brush efficiency and economy, and do that one thing intentionally. And if you do it all at once, you'll do it all badly. But if you just focus on that one aspect, then you'll actually learn something and it'll stick. And that's when I realized that's probably why I was struggling with the more complex paintings, because I was trying to do all at once. I had the composition, the value, and then I was trying to match the colors and trying to match the brushwork all at the same time, you know? And again, these are massive canvases, or at least a lot bigger than my iPad for sure. And they had months of prep, and I'm just trying to do them in 1 to 2 hours. So that's why on my last study on day 6, I fixed those habits and I definitely redeemed myself. And that leads me to day 6, which is the gray day on Valencia Beach by Joaquin Sorolla. Probably butchered that name. But yeah, after watching Daniel McGarry's video, you know, there's a pretty big improvement on how I study this, because I was a lot more intentional with everything I was doing. And at first, I did what the old painters actually did back in the day. They committed to a limited set of colors, but they also put them on the canvas, and that's it. They introduced whatever they were going to use, but then that's it, and they only used what was on the actual canvas themselves, and they mixed within, but that's all they used. And that's how you get a more cohesive and more authentic color palette for a painting. Because a lot of painters back in the day, they often did, you know, a coat of paint underneath. It was often like a very strong brown, orange, or red. And then they would put in the colors and introduce what they were going to use on top of that. But then after that, they would only mix in between what was available, and that's it. Because before, I was plucking colors randomly on the color wheel. And that's probably why some colors stood out so much, right? So instead of randomly jumping around on the color wheel, you should just only introduce what you're going to use, mix in between all those, and then only use whatever's on the canvas. And that's why this final study feels a lot better for sure. Because for this one, I was only focused on coloring, and that's how I think I was able to get the new one's colors in between the cracks. Because beneath all this blue and purple, there's a lot of brown and a surprising amount of light pink magenta. So that by having all that and then painting on top, some of those bottom colors for the initial paint, it will shine through basically, and it gives it, again, a lot more authentic quality for sure. And yeah, and again, I was only focused on just the colors and then the brushwork after. Once I established whatever colors I was going to use, then I was only focused on the brushwork, and that's probably why this final study feels so much better. I wasn't trying to do everything all at once. I was just doing it one step at a time. And I took my time with this one too. I took about 2 hours, and I was trying to be really intentional. Instead of trying to copy the painting, I was trying to think about why certain brush strokes looked the way they did and try to recreate and follow the hand of the painter. Because in this one, there's a lot of ambiguous details in it. But I imagine, okay, these brown shapes in the back, I assume those are like hills, and that's what he was trying to paint, right? Or at the very top, this yellowish green that shines through the clouds, I imagine that was the sky being covered, daylight, the sun, whatever. So that was the intention. Instead of just trying to, okay, there's yellow here, I put yellow here. Oh, there's purple here, I put purple here. I didn't do that. Instead, I tried to just think about why he would have done the way he did. Plus, I imagine for Sorolla, a lot of these are really quick as well. So he's not being super intentional, or not intentional, but super planned out. I imagine a lot of these are really quick, and his hand has intentionality to them for sure while he's painting quick on the scene. But it's not this like compositional, focused, detailed plan thing out. So yeah, anyways, that was day 6. So yeah, I didn't do anything for day 7, which is today, because I wanted to film this and edit it out. But that was the week of master studies. And to recap the video, the biggest things that I learned was that these masters were working with very, very limited color palettes. Pigments could be rare, expensive, or even limited, and they worked with what they had, but they mixed with what they got, and they were very deliberate, and again, some pigments, with them being more rare or expensive, if you saw that particular color being used, it represented something, Again, ultramarine, for example, was a very rare and expensive color back in the day. So if someone used ultramarine blue for a dress, it was a statement, right? And there's so much context to all this, and not only do they have focused color palettes, but they only used what they introduced on the canvas. And that's often why when I was going through the color wheel, a lot of the colors are surprisingly not dull, but they're not as saturated as you might think. And there's a lot more gray to them, because again, they're mixing a lot. So you can have your 2 primary colors, but then when you're going in between them, yes, you're shifting hue, but you're also shifting your values as well. You're desaturating just a little bit. You're going a bit gray. And that's how they get those in-betweens. And yeah, again, that's why there's a lot more gray than you might think. And there's very little pure color, And again, use underpaintings. Always have some kind of color underneath to activate your whole painting. They will shine through and cover up the things, and they will make your painting feel a lot more authentic. And back in the day, they obviously used a lot of orange, but I think it just depends on your painting. If you want a warm painting, then you use orange or red underneath, and you want something cool, then you obviously use like a blue or a purple, essentially. And yeah, the restraint is what makes these paintings feel so much more unified. So yeah, kind of tough to do, or kind of something easy to forget when we have the entire spectrum of color at our hands. So anyways, yeah, that was week 3 of master studies. Next week is about observation drawing, which should be fun. And yeah, as usual, I'll be uploading these weekly as soon as the challenge is over. So that's like the explanation for the series, I guess. Anyways, I will see you next week. Bye-bye.